Mushoku Tensei, or Jobless Reincarnation as it literally translates to, is an isekai series about a 34-year-old recluse, or NEET as it's sometimes called in Japan, with PTSD and a host of other traumas and mental issues, who dies saving a few high schoolers from a careening truck, and is then reincarnated into a world of magic and swords. Whew, kind of a mouthful, but there's a lot to unpack here. First up, what is an isekai? To put it plainly, isekai is a term for something like an anime or novel series or even a game that depicts characters being transported to a world different from our own, either due to a reincarnation or a form of unwilling transportation. That creates an immediate sense of conflict, as someone is now in this completely unfamiliar world with usually a new language, rules, society, everything. You don't have to know the definition of this term to be familiar with the works that the premise created, though. Any Neverending Story kids from the 80s? Huh? Maybe Labyrinth boys and girls swooning over David Bowie as Jareth the Goblin King. Oh, yes please. Come on, you don't have to be gay to recognize that as a beautiful man. Fuck. If you're looking for something more current day, think of things like Forbidden Kingdom with Jackie Chan and Jet Li, or hit anime like Dot Hack, Sword Art Online, Overlord, and the day-ruining psychological torture series known as Re:Zero. Okay, I'm a bit harsh on Zero. I still love it, but damn, it can get rough. Make sure you have time to unwind after an episode of that, because it can really take it out of you. Where the hell was I? Oh yeah, being jobless. No, I mean Jobless Reincarnation. So the first thing you may notice is the series is absolutely gorgeous. The animation is top-notch. Music is atmospheric and beautiful, and the voice direction is spot on. It's using the best of modern production to really give us a feast for the eyes and ears. Its true strength, though, lies in the storytelling. This is one of the premier isekai anime series, and is considered the grandfather of the genre by many, as it was actually adapted from a 2012 web novel series. So it's been around for a while, even if the anime itself is new. The narrative works in a fantastic way where it transported both you and the main character, Rudius, to this new world, and together you are learning how this world functions. Like, how does magic work? What's required to make it fire off in greater strength and distance? What are the different tiers of magic and swordsmanship? What about the non-fantasy stuff? How well off is Rudius' family? What's the disparity between the wealthy and the peasants? How volatile are the politics here? What about race issues, given that there are things like demons, elves, and dwarves in this world? Even in the first 2 episodes, they chock this new world full of foreshadowing and interesting premises to explore later, and that alone might be enough to hook you in. If not that, then some of the action is just dazzling and masterfully animated, and could be enough to keep you enticed. So all this gushing out of the way, is it perfect? Well, no, it isn't. I'm not going to deep dive on this subject here now. This may be worthy of an entirely dedicated video later on, but the series is somewhat marred by controversy. Jobless Reincarnation doesn't pull any punches with the role of sex in this world, as it's a very medieval setting. It does it less for fan service and more for storytelling, but it can still get kinda awkward at points, especially when topics like rape or molestation are approached. Some of the worst of it is Rudius himself, unfortunately. The main character was not a good person, and they make that evident pretty quickly, even if he did sacrifice his life to save those high schoolers. He's trying to better himself in this new world, but he was a 34-year-old, jobless, perverted neckbeard before he died originally, and those habits don't disappear overnight. His sins range from gross to downright horrifying in some instances, because even though early on in the series he's a young boy physically, he's mentally somewhere between 34 and 40. So you can imagine where things can get a little creepy when he starts to show interest in girls his physical age. At the very least, these actions are not glorified, nor are they graphically depicted. You're not meant to fully identify with Rudius, and thankfully there are a lot of early time skips to help push us away from these controversial points, but I wanted to give a fair warning regardless. In other words, if you were able to watch through all of Game of Thrones, horrible writing notwithstanding...
Why do you think I came all this way?
Or Breaking Bad, without blinking, this will be a walk in the park. If you are sensitive to these things, you're better off avoiding certain segments or outright skipping the series as a whole. Some people have a low tolerance for stuff like gore, and there's no shaming being sensitive to sexual material or disturbing situations. You do you. So that aside, I still wholeheartedly recommend giving the series a try. It has great world building, a solid cast, and is a work of modern animation art. The hand-drawn backgrounds are stunning, the animations are gorgeous, and the character development keeps you engaged. Even if you're not a fan of Rudius himself, the world is filled with people for you to care about or cheer on, so you'll undoubtedly find a favorite pretty quickly. Finally, the groundwork is laid out in a lot of situations that you can predict will become important, but not in a cliché way. Like, you're warned early about the Spurred, so it's obvious that they will become relevant at some point, but in what way? How is Rudius' last name important? Why is the medallion his master gives him precious in more ways than one? Some of these answers are bigger than others, but they all matter in a way that's more, oh neat, and not, well, I saw that one coming a while away. In any case, hopefully this was enough to get you interested enough to check it out. Currently, it's streaming on Hulu in the US or via your favorite sketchy secondhand streaming site elsewhere. I won't tell.